Hi guys, welcome. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about a certain person, a certain famous person, and I just want to give my perspective of my observations that I've noticed about them. So, sorry if I'm looking around, it's because I'm using my phone to film this time because my computer is doing updates and shit. So the person we're talking about is Zak Bagans. I know, there's a lot of videos I make, probably one or two, so it's not that much, but about the stupid shit that he does that frustrates me, okay? But with that said, I'm going to go based off of my observations as a whole of what I noticed about him. And you guys may agree or not agree, that's okay. And I'm not trying to be a hateful person when I talk about him. This has nothing to do with my feelings of whether or not I like him or not, okay? I just want to get that out of the way. I'm just going based off of my observations, okay? I know a lot of people are his fans, and that's okay. But again, I'm neutral. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. So some days I like him, some days I don't. But anyway, so if you notice throughout the years, right? The beginning, he really wanted to film ghost adventures and stuff for proof, all right? The whole basis of his show is to find evidence and proof for the public. Sorry about that. It's hard to talk. I think that's on purpose. But anyway, so I'm very supportive of the whole getting validation and proof and evidence of the paranormal because it's hard to get that, and your everyday person probably isn't going to believe in this stuff unless they are experiencing it for themselves. And most people, I don't think, experience paranormal stuff enough to then have it change their basis of their view of how they see things and whether or not, they believe or not. And so, your typical family isn't really going to believe in that stuff. Maybe children at first, but then as they grow up, their egos kick in and they're not going to really believe in that stuff because that's what they're taught. That's what most people are taught, or children are taught. I was taught that, right? I came from a Catholic family, and I mean, they believe in God and stuff, but they never wanted to acknowledge anything else afterwards, right? And I understand why. And sorry if you hear my dog crying in the background. He's just being a needy mofo. But anyway, so it makes sense as to why most people don't believe and why it's important to have the evidence, right? Because there are things that go on and, you can't find an answer to. So, for example, you may have a health issue and you've been to 50 doctors and they can't diagnose anything. Well, sometimes they can't diagnose it because it's not actually medical. It has to do with a paranormal situation. So, another example, let's say you are getting sleep paralysis, right? And your nightmares and stuff, and that creates a severe fatigue syndrome situation. Well, doctors will be like, okay, well, everything's normal, all your levels are normal, there's no reason as to why, right? But if they knew that, there was a negative entity, laying on top of you at night and giving you that sleep paralysis and nightmares to where now you're so scared to sleep and now you're just so tired because of it, and it kind of created something that looks like a medical, illness, right? People don't understand that, and that's the frustrating part. Sorry, I got cut off there. But anyway, the whole medical situation might not be a medical situation. It could be a paranormal situation is what I'm alluding. So I think it's important that people understand that these things do exist. There's people like me, right? Mediums that can see this stuff, okay? And it would be nice to not be called fucking crazy, right? But the more important thing is for people to understand that these things do exist. And so I like that Zach and his crew do try to prove those things. I quite understand it, and I'm for it. Absolutely. But so at the beginning, yes, that's great. That was the whole point of his show, right? Um, and I know, and one of his crew members actually admitted this in an interview, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to find that video, but they said, yeah, when we can't get any paranormal evidence, they make that shit up. That's a problem, okay? Because I understand in the beginning why they would. It's because they want people to watch it, right? They don't want people to be bored. They want to see that this stuff is legit. But if people, if you're not finding enough evidence, people are going to get bored of watching it. So I understand why they would do it. But at the same time, it hurts them. Now, I'm not saying it's all the time, but I do know for a fact that it is, it has happened on the show. I don't know how many times. I just know it has. One episode I was watching, I don't know if it was just Ghost Adventures or House Calls or what, I forget. There was one EVP, I think it's an EMP or whatever, I forget what they're called, where it was made up. And my guides were like, that's made up. It was so obvious too. I didn't even need them to tell me. I was like, wow, I can't believe they would do that. But I believe a lot of the stuff is real that they're capturing. So then it's going to lead me to my next thing. And I keep seeing something go back and forth in the corner of my eye. So if you guys see it, let me know. Could just be the reflection because I'm sitting in front of a window. I mean, I have the curtains drawn, but could be the reflections off the cars, probably is. But anyway, so the thing that I've noticed though throughout the years, and it's more recent years, so whenever, it's about the time where he did Demon House, I think, around that time, where I've noticed, and I don't know if it was 2018, 2019, but around there is when I started noticing the negative energy creeping up in him, right? In Zak Bagans. And with that, I also noticed, I mean, he's probably done this too throughout the years anyway, but putting his crewmates in danger, danger, I said that weird. That's not okay. I've noticed that more. There was one episode where he was in a house with alleged demons. I forget again the episode. It was so long ago, you guys. But so he was in the basement of this house or structure or whatever, and he wanted more activity. So he thought it would be a great idea to do a ritual and have a dark witch and a light witch competing against each other to stop it, and then the other one was trying to make it. That's not okay. I don't care what anybody says. Is it entertaining? Yes. But it's not okay. Okay? It's not okay to do stuff like that, especially in a house or anywhere where people can, become targets of hauntings or attachments and stuff. It's not okay. And with House Calls, I only watched the first 4 episodes or so, and right off the bat, he's putting his crew members in danger again, okay? And telling them to invite the entity into their bodies to see what would happen so we can capture it on film, right? At this point, there's only so much evidence you can grab, right? Otherwise, it's so repetitive and you're kind of beating a dead horse. And it's just, I don't know, at this point, it's kind of overdoing it. But also, it feels like with the negativity that's creeping inside of him, it has to do with ego. And I don't want to say power, but it could just be trying to become more famous and known. But so, and money, that's a huge thing as well, right? Because when you do these shows and you have all this evidence and it's crazy evidence, yeah, you're going to get more views and recognition. But what is more important, that or your crew members' safety? I was also watching a YouTube video with these two guys. I think their names are Sam and Colby. One's like a blonde-haired kid, and another one's like a dark-haired kid, right? And I was watching this video, and metapsychics were pretty much reacting to the devil's chair of what, they were investigating, okay? And so if you don't know, that chair is in Zak Bagans' museum. Now, nobody's allowed to touch it or sit in it, right? And he doesn't let anybody do that. But these kids, he let them do it. And when I say kids, they're not like kids. They're probably like younger adults, like in their 20s. But regardless, they're kids because I'm older than them. But, he was so strict about that. But because they came in, right, and they're filming, he wants to let them sit in the chair. Well, the problem is there's a devil entity attached to the chair. And Zak knows that, right? Just like in House Calls, he knows some things that he should not be telling them to do, but he does it anyway for the views. That's not okay. And again, that's where all the darkness is coming from him. And I would like to point out, he is an empath, absolutely, without a doubt. I believe he is a medium with certain abilities, and the empath one is probably the strongest ability that he has, which means too, he has to be careful, because that also means that he has the chance to become manipulated by these entities. And you can see it on some of his shows and episodes where, he gets very affected by the entities, right? You'll see like some shows where he's like really angry and he acts really freaky. That's real, okay? The entity is manipulating him. And so the feeling that I was getting is that Zak, because he's so empathic, and he's experienced in the way that he's been around a lot of entities, so he's familiar with what some of the energies go with and what kind they may be. He's not great. Neither am I, though. Like, I'm not perfect. But I don't know if he can see them, and I can see them a lot of times. But, so the thing is, what I'm worried about, and I believe this is happening to him, there are cases where he is severely influenced by these entities, and that's why he's saying these bad things for his crew to do, because whether he likes it or not, and whether he realizes it or not, I don't know if it's intentional, but regardless, he is being influenced and kind of, in a way, helping these negative entities. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some points in time where he does try to cleanse the entities out of the houses, and that's more not more frequent, but more recent that he's doing that, which is great. However, I feel that they're not doing an adequate enough job, because they're coming back and then they're not doing anything about that. In House Calls, they kind of did it. There was 1 or 2 episodes where they were really lazy about it, and it made it worse. Okay? There was a couple, there might be 2 episodes where there were a couple, right? And the one guy was getting severely affected. Well, they did their cleansing, and all that did was make it worse. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just do one cleansing, all right? If you've ever had a haunting in your own home or an attachment, right? Or you're a medium of whatever sort, right? One cleansing is not enough. And if you've had a history of hauntings in your house or attachments, you need to do cleansings every week for the rest of your life. I don't care what anybody says. You have to do that shit for the rest of your life. You also have to cleanse your body, right? For the rest of your life. So what you need to do, for me, what I like to do is do my ritual baths. It's very simple, right? You just get herbs and stuff, and then set the intention that you want, to be cleansed and stuff. It works, right? In addition to cleansing your house. And Zak I don't want to say he's lazy, because, there's probably a lot of things he does off screen that we do not see. But the things that he does is very questionable, and I believe that he's being influenced by negative entities to do certain things, to say certain things to his crewmates, because I mean, if you think about it, if you're telling one of your crewmates, crewmates, I don't know what I was trying to say. If you tell one of your crewmates to invite the entity into your body, if that's a demon, then he could get possessed. Well, that's what the demons want, right? They want control over a person's body. He should know that. He's been in this field long enough, and I know he knows it, right? And that's why I believe he's severely affected and influenced and potentially working with demons and not realizing it, but it's also possible that he does know. But I can't say that for a fact. I don't know if he knows or is aware or not, but he is. There are times he's helping, but sometimes he's helping the demons instead of, the people, and that's a problem. And again, that's where this dark energy is coming from, because it is creeping up there and it's manipulating him to believe he's doing good and he's not. Okay? So that's why I wanted to point out the negative energy that I'm feeling from Zak, because it's a problem. And it's a big problem, because if he's broadcasting this shit on television, well, what are kids or unexperienced, people gonna do when they're out in the field? They're gonna do what he's doing. Why? Because he's a bajillionaire and, he's successful at what he does. But just because he's successful at what he does doesn't mean he is right, if that makes sense. I'm just going to leave it at that. When people watch his shows, they need to pick out the red flags of what he's doing too. And the whole thing with, Zak did say something about provocation and how he tries to use it when he does his filming. What he's doing is not necessarily provocation. That's different. That has to do with exorcisms and stuff, and bringing out the entity in the possessed to reveal itself so you can gain power over it. Now, I'm not 100%, knowledgeable on that in of itself. This is just what I know about provocation and what I've learned from another exorcist, right? But so from what I understand is that provocation, the point of it is to, elicit a response from the entity, from a possessed person, so you can identify the entity that is possessing the person, and it's to gain information too, so you can see like how many, who it is, what it is, and then you can get rid of it. That I thought was the whole point. What they're doing, right, is provoking it and being disrespectful to it to elicit a reaction, okay? So you can slam on me for not knowing the exact definition of provocation. That's fine. I don't care. But that was just my understanding of what it is. But what Zak is doing is provoking it, right, to get footage. There's a difference. And it would be different if he's trying to exorcise the entity out of the area. And he's not really doing it for the majority of his shows. He's not really. And if he does, he's not doing it correctly, or, I don't want to say he's lazy about it, but he's not doing it right, because you have to keep doing it. And I know that's hard. Like, you can't just go to every location, get rid of an entity and then keep coming back to do all the cleansings. I get it. You can't. But I just wanted to say the difference there. It's important. Also, when you provoke, right, you're setting up a communication line with that entity. What does that mean? That means you're inviting it in, okay? That's a problem, right? So when you invite the entity in, no matter what it is, it could be a demon, it could be a negative earthbound spirit, whatever. Through the law of invitation, you can get infestation, and that's a problem. And again, when you have these researchers or other kids trying to be paranormal investigators, right? They do the same shit, because Zak Bagans is probably one of the first shows that, you know, got into the paranormal and proving it, right? And so a lot of what he does is a base for other channels and other investigators. And so a lot of people copy the whole provoking the entity, right? So you'll have these people that have no idea what they're dealing with or how to cleanse themselves, right? Which is even worse. I will say, towards the end of the Zak's shows, they do show in some episodes, sorry, motorcycle. They do show in some episodes of them cleansing themselves after they leave the area. And the YouTube channel has Sam and Colby, again, I forget what they're called, I'm terrible. But they do show that they do cleanse themselves after they leave, I think. I think it was them. It's either that or Paranormal Files. But I'm pretty sure they know to do that, and that's good. But you'll have these, again, these paranormal investigators that don't even do that. They won't cleanse themselves. They have no form of protection. And then they're provoking an entity. And then voila, now they're going to have some fucking attachment or haunting at home. Problem. So that's why I'm frustrated. And I really wanted to make a formal, longer video about this. And again, this isn't to spread hate with Zak, but I am noticing darkness grow inside of him, and he needs to watch it, because if he doesn't, you know, negative entities are going to take advantage, which they already are, and it could end in tragedy with him. He needs to pay attention. He really does. His crewmates need to know better as well, and not just, you know, listen to what he says, because a lot of what he says is misguided and wrong, and he's just saying it because he's being influenced at certain points. So, or letting his ego get in the way, right? Because he wants those views. But so that's why I wanted to make the video, because I am concerned about the safety of other people and other investigators, because this stuff is dangerous, especially if you don't know what you're dealing with. And I don't know if anyone else has made this kind of video, but they should. I shouldn't be the only, you know, medium talking about this, because this is dangerous. You're messing with something that you don't understand, and whether you get a demon or earthbound spirit, like depending on the entity, you could get a really powerful one that could have been here for thousands of years, and now all of a sudden, you know, there's a tragedy because you were disrespectful and playing with stuff you shouldn't. So that's what I just wanted to say today, and sorry that this video is late, but thank you guys for watching, and peace out.